So you might be working 8, 10 hours a day and you come home absolutely drained. And you have this distant dream, like maybe I can complete my hibs and maybe I should start my memorization journey. But it just seems so difficult because of how tired or maybe low energy you are. But what if I told you it's not only possible, but it's actually realistic if you go about it the right way? See, for the past few months, I've been in the same journey trying to figure the same problem out. And the vast majority of the progress I've made has actually been while at school, while at work, and balancing all these different things. Because the first thing you need to realize is that you don't actually need like hours of free time to make progress on your hibs journey. You don't need that at all. You might have this preconceived thought in your head that, oh, in order to memorize big portions of Quran or to complete the Quran, you have to have been like raised in a madrasa, you have to have like took years off living in the desert and just straight memorizing intensely. We'd be surprised there's so many people who've done it in the same routine, the same maybe Western schedules that me and you are in. Because the first thing you need to adopt is a mindset that you actually can do it. Because I was someone who also thought like that the only way to memorize, to make big progress, is you have to have some kind of head start, some kind of advantage. It wasn't until I started forcing myself to do it and time started passing by where I realized, wait, I actually make huge progress while also being in this kind of routine. So the second step is you got to build that Quran first routine. If you're someone who your work or your school is just dominating your entire day, you need to flip it on its head and to make sure that you're crafting a routine where the Quran is like a non-negotiable. So what does this actually look like in practicality? Because let's be honest, if you're someone who's gotten that routine, if you go to school or work and you come back, the likelihood of you staying consistent and always memorizing is just really low. So something that I've personally done is that you have to split your day into kind of 2 blocks. This is what I do. Where in the morning, you have a session where you're reviewing the stuff that you memorized, and then later in the day, you're adding new things onto your memorization. These past few months, there's been tons of times where I got to school early on purpose, or I got to work early on purpose, just so I could sit in the car, or maybe while I'm walking, to review a few pages of things I memorized previously, or to maybe warm up my memory to something new that I'm going to memorize that day. It's creating these little chunks and taking these little blocks is how you actually make significant progress while under a time constraint. And you can't just leave this up to your motivation or just remembering it. You need to have this like actually written down, because there's a study that shows that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely just to achieve them just by writing them down. So you need to factor the Quran into your day-to-day routine, like by actually writing. If you want help with that, by the way, we have a community, a free community you can join where you'll get individualized help kind of constructing your own Quran routine. But this is something that's so important, because otherwise if you just leave it up to your motivation, to your ambition, to maybe your just dreams, it's just going to be what's been happening maybe these past few years or before that, where it's just a dream that enters your mind, but you never actually take it seriously. And the third tactic that's essential is to use micro moments. Essentially what this means is that there's small little moments that pop up throughout the day that you're not really aware of, where you could be maybe warming up what you're memorizing, reviewing what you're memorizing, or maybe just memorizing small portions. You'd be surprised how much progress you can make just while walking, driving, or just on your commute in the bus, or doing whatever in your downtime, whether you're just listening to the Quran, maybe just warming up visually, or doing whatever kind of tactic you want. But those small little moments actually go a long way in the long term. Something that I've been doing is listening to the page I plan on memorizing that day on repeat throughout the day. So whether it's driving, commuting, or you're on like a break or something, just constantly listening to that same page. So then when you actually come to memorize it, it becomes way easier because you already familiarize yourself with it multiple times. And by the way, one of the best micro moments to take advantage of this stuff is right before you go to sleep. Because I already know from personal experience and other people I know, everyone uses that last maybe 30 minutes of 1 hour before they go to sleep just to scroll on their phone or watch videos. If you were just substitute that with memorizing or revising, that alone will give you so much more progress. And the fourth tactic that's absolutely essential is that you have to track your progress, even if it's going way slower than you think. And unfortunately, there's so many people who fall off their hib journey, not because something big happened in their life or something just got too difficult, but more so just these small little things like they forgot where they were in their memorization, or they didn't really know what to expect when they went about memorizing. And when you do this, you run the risk of getting really discouraged and just getting entirely lost in the process. This is why you have to really meticulously track where you're at. And you could do it by anything. If you're doing memorization through a phone, you can highlight where you're at, or you can just make sure you're taking notes within that same little routine that you built to always track where you are, what you need to revise, and the new thing that you're trying to memorize. So believe it or not, you're actually not too busy to chase hifz or to memorize Quran or to maybe even complete the entire Quran. You just need to go about the habits in the correct way. You'd be surprised that the average person, maybe you watching this video, is literally just a few habit tweaks from making crazy momentum and progress on this hifz journey. Because at the end of the day, on like a more personal note, time is just going to keep going fast. Years are going to start flying by, and you're going to be thinking like, what did I actually even put forward? And you'd be surprised, like you can make way more progress than you think. Sometimes I'm thinking where I'm at in my memorization, I'm like, man, it feels like I started really recently, but I'm still like, I'm doing good. And a lot of the progress really just comes down to that decision that you might be in right now, or you're just in the beginning. Because after that, after you take that decision to take it seriously, the momentum builds, and then it becomes much easier, it becomes a habit in your life, and it doesn't really become something as difficult as it might be right now. Many of the Hufad, they didn't start in these high intensity memorization schools. Many of them actually started like the same spot maybe me and you are in, just in this routine, but they just built that habit. Whether it was on the bus, their lunch break, whatever it is, they just had that relationship with the Quran. They built that habit. So it's really no excuse. Even in the Quran says, فَإِنَّ مَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ بِلِسَانِكَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ, that we literally made this easy for you to memorize. Like this is something easy to memorize. It's really just upon us. But inshallah, that helped. Feel free to join our community if you want. And Assalamu alaikum.